September 26, 2017. This is a business meeting of the North Kingstown School Committee. If I could ask everyone to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Mr. Glassbach?
Here.
Ms. Hoskins? Here. Mr. Jones?
Here.
Ms. Osborne?
Here.
Ms. Stevens?
Here.
Mr. Schott? Here. And Mr. Nerona.
And if you could call the calendar.
Tuesday, October 10th, 2017, there'll be a school committee business meeting. And Tuesday, October 24th, 2017, a school committee business meeting.
Thank you. Any presentations or recognitions?
I just want to recognize Wendy Amelot, principal of Forest Park Elementary. Ms. Amelot has taken on another position in the Warwick School District. She's part of the central office there as the Director of Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment. Their CIA Director. Okay, and we have one more.
And also Mike Ayavaya, who is our band director at Wickford Middle School, has been chosen to conduct the Rimia Junior All-State Orchestra and also to conduct the Connecticut Educators Music Association's Western Regional Middle School Honor Band. So that's from a big area, and so it's a prestigious selection for him.
Next we have citizens' comments. Has anyone signed up to speak? Okay. Anyone who did not sign up who would like to speak? Okay, we have none. Reaching routine items, if I could have a motion to seal the executive session minutes of, I guess we have to do that later because we're not done. We're going to reconvene. So we'll hold that, and I'm going to make a note so I don't forget to do that after. Okay. So I can disclose, as of this point, we've made no votes in executive session. We've reached the consent agenda. Items to be exempted. I'm going to start by exempting D1 and G1. Any other members have any exemptions? Or is it not consent? Oh, sorry, I read too far. Okay, never mind, not G1, just D1. Sorry.
I'd like to exempt E5.
E5. Any others? Okay. And if I could have a motion to approve the non-exempted consent agenda items. Motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Jones. Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? It passes unanimously. Next, we have a first exempted item, which is item D1. I exempted that because we have a choice, so we can't just approve it. We have to choose either option 1, which is the 1-year renewal, or the 4-year renewal. And Mrs. King, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, actually, we would like if you would allow us to have Mr. Waterman come up and explain. There have been a couple of things that have happened even since we published that
Okay.
that might help you make your decision.
Thank you. Mr. Waterman.
Thank you for having me. No slides tonight, so this should be brief. So, quick explanation of Exagrid. Exagrid is our backup utility, disaster recovery, and business continuity. We have 2 of these hardware appliances in our district. We have one in the data center and then one at Davisville Middle School because that was our furthest school at the time when these were purchased about 8 or 9 years ago. So all the data gets pushed to the one in the data center and then duplicated on the one up at Davisville Middle School. So if there was ever a disaster at our building or at Davisville, we have it in a separate place. So the proposal, this is an interesting one in front of you. Each year we pay for maintenance, service, and essentially warranty protection. And one caveat I want to point out to any warranty that we have on just about any product is surge suppression. And we know we've had 3 power outages this year, 2 of which since this was posted. So I'm really trying to drive home a point here that I believe we have some issues with our current one at Davisville Middle School because of the power outages last week. So that was why initially I gave it to you as not even a recommendation, but a choice between 2. I I'm really trying to point you to the 4-year one because of the hardware problems we're having at the Edgehill Middle School right now. That wasn't initially the case. Essentially, we've been paying about $6,000 per year for this maintenance renewal. This year, when they gave us our renewal quote, they gave us an option, which was to trade in our current devices. They would replace them with new devices, same amount of storage, but just newer and faster. So instead of having 5,400 RPM hard drives, we're going to have much faster hard drives because that's what they had 7-8 years ago. With that, we get 4 years of that warranty and service for essentially the same price of what we're paying per year now. The difference being we have to pay it up front. So much like I was in front of you a couple of weeks ago for a Go Garden where we could do 1 year or 3 year, and you selected the 1 year because we didn't want to have the 3 years up front. We also wanted to make sure we were happy with the product. This is a similar case in that we would be purchasing 4 years worth of service and they would be refreshing our equipment at no charge. We did spend approximately $40,000 on this equipment about 7 or 8 years ago. And the renewal pricing you can see in the quotes that are provided are right around that same ballpark, I believe $38,000, if we were to purchase this hardware outright. So they're essentially selling us the equipment at a discounted rate, giving us credit for what we're going to trade in, and then also giving us a discount on pre-purchasing the 4 years of service.
And Mr. Waterman, you had said that if we purchased the equipment on our own, though, there would still be something that would be a maintenance component.
Correct. So
it's not like if we purchased the equipment on our own, a maintenance component would go away.
Correct. So these are all proprietary systems. They all speak their own language. They're native to Exagrid has their own language. Dell EMC has their own language. So you always need that support piece, and that's to keep the software up to date. And if there are any bugs or security vulnerabilities that open up, they go in there and they address those.
And you put this forward as options just because, we knew it would be a question from you anyway. So, yes, we do have the option of continuing with the 1 year. The 4 year gets the equipment that we are likely going to need and or do need.
And so by doing the 4 year, we would then not need to do the annual 6,000 and change in year 2, 3.
Because we'd be
4,
doing it
correct?
upfront.
It's up correct.
Correct.
So over 4 years, it's a flat cost. Mm-hmm. It's just right now you're paying for the 4 years all up front.
And they're throwing in the equipment, basically.
They're discounting the equipment and they're discounting the years of service because I also think this is more expensive for them to support if there is a hardware failure because this equipment is older. The likelihood of there being a failure is also higher.
What's our liability if Exagrid should go bankrupt?
So, should they go bankrupt, we would be so. If we were not to renew, or
if we buy the 4 year,
if we bought the 4 year,
and let's say next year they're not there anymore,
we'd be a creditor.
That and I would imagine there was nothing on there, so it's not like our access points. So the access points in this room, if we don't renew their licensing, they stop working. They're not going to work. This is going to continue to work. We just want to continue to get the updates, the service, the patches. At that
And we'd
point,
get free equipment.
At that point, we want to look at. I mean, we would then have options.
To trade to another company though, and is the equipment transferable?
Well, that's where I was going to go. Is we would have the equipment. We could remove their software and look at putting our own software on there, or purchasing a different software vendor to put on there. But again, we would have the equipment.
there wouldn't be a total loss. So it doesn't have, I just want to make sure, and you've answered this, I just want to be clear because I know how some of these things work. So if they, it's not like there's these boxes are requiring their server-side component as well to operate. So the boxes would operate theoretically independently just without a maintenance component, without it.
Correct.
Yes.
So, with our recent decision on the Go Guardian, we decided on the 1 year because we didn't have a history with them.
Correct.
But the Exagrid, you have a history with both the hardware and the software?
Correct.
This is, so, the way I look at it is whenever you're buying computer stuff, as soon as you dive in and buy, it's like a fast-moving river. Right behind you, there's something bigger, better, faster, cheaper. So I think it is good to try to stay up to date, and this is a way to get new equipment with no additional cost, annual cost anyway, from what it's been costing us. So as long as the finance director, our chief, whatever, dishwasher.
Don't call me late for dinner.
If our fund balance can take the hit, then I would say we should probably go ahead.
And you know, I know that Mr. Blasbog doesn't like for us to use that. What I would say, I understand that, I don't like to have to either, but we are very early in the school year. I know we're not early in the fiscal year because it started in July, but our fiscal year really doesn't start until our school comes into play. So here we are at September 26th, we're still getting our enrollment in, that's our out-of-district enrollment, enrollments from other places. So while I'm confident that we will be okay at the end of the year, I can't tell you exactly right now where I would take money from the current year's budget. That's why I would recommend that if we do it, we need to do it through fund balance, and it all washes through.
This is a little more of a capital type expense too than some of the other
It
things
is.
we talked
Yeah,
about.
you're right,
I mean,
it is,
You are
because you
purchasing
could
a
say
piece
it's-
of equipment. The other way of
Right.
looking at this is that you're getting an equipment component.
Right, you're
And the
right.
last one's lasted you 8 years?
Yes.
You know,
And
so-
there have been, hard drives are spinning disks. They die, they send us a new one, we replace it,
Yeah.
run the duplication, and it comes back. So they have worked with us both at the hardware and software level. And just to also interject, we do have about 25% of this budget.
Right. Any other questions? Anyone want to make a motion?
Motion to approve
We have to pick an option.
the 4-year, approve the 4-year option.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the option 2, which is the 4-year option. Do I have a second? A second from Ms. Hoskins. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
Sorry. Any opposed? You're still thinking. Any abstentions? Or who didn't speak yet? I think that passed unanimously. Thank you.
Excuse me.
Yep.
Mr. Jones, you voted in favor?
He did.
Oh.
He just took an extra moment.
Every time
Look
Mr.
at
Waterman
overlapped
gets in front of us,
overlapped with the name.
One money. Can you keep him away for a little while? We like him, but.
I know, it's got the magic touch.
Next, Mr. Jones, you had exempted E5.
Yes, motion to approve E5.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second.
I have issue with it, except to say, as superintendent, can we get the sort of participation numbers and a special interest in the student government?
I can get you those for last year.
Right.
Yep.
Well, yeah, I'm just more interested in just making a point of it, but the student government one, I think is something we could get sooner, because I assume that they point. Right. So for that one, if we could get more current year numbers on that.
Any further discussion? So we had a motion from Mr. Jones, seconded by Mrs. McGovern. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Next item is item F, which is a resolution opposing the expansion of the Green School. We caught one little typo, which we have fixed, but other than that, the proposed resolution was in the agenda packets. Is there any discussion, or could I get a motion to start discussion? A motion to approve from Ms. Hoskins, second Mr. Jones. Discussion on the resolution? Hearing none. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? One opposed. That's Mrs. McGovern. Votes no. That passes 4-1. Next, we have item G, which is an approval of a donation from the Rhode Island Manufacturing Institute. Can you just briefly speak to that?
Actually,
Or
could you speak? I think you know a little bit more
Okay,
about that.
sure.
don't you?
This, the Rhode Island Manufacturing Institute is an organization that produces videos and training videos. They help people with the manufacturing business and help to train their workers. They have worked with the North Kingstown Communications Program. Aaron Thomas and his classes provided them with real-world opportunities to help make these videos. And in return, she has graciously brought forward this donation to Aaron's program. So it's a win-win.
And Mr. Thomas has communicated that he'd like to, there are several things he'd like to invest the funds in because it is specifically noted for Mr. Thomas's class, since they're the ones who help do the videos. He wants to create a portable video presentation cart that has a laptop and projector and speakers, and possibly add some other accessories like steady cams and shock stabilizers. And he would follow all purchasing rules if he needed to bid if it was over $5,000, and whatever quotes are needed, he's aware that he'll have to do that.
So I'll make a motion to approve item G1. Get a second? Second, Mr. Jones. I just want to mention, congratulate Mr. Thomas and his classes for doing the work, and thank very much the Rhode Island Manufacturing Institute for such a gracious thank you. And I think it's a great way to reinvest in that program and get some great audiovisual equipment for the classes. So, sounds wonderful to me. Any other discussion? Okay, all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Anything on the 2017-18 school budget? CIP, existing bond, or future bond?
No.
And in your packet
I
there
have
is...
a problem with the connection.
I'm sorry. In our packet, there's a disposal notification. Any questions on that? For the financial reports, which I will note are available for members of the public to take a look at. In the interest of transparency, we have our most recent reports, as well as our entire check register, both numerically and also alphabetically for your reference. So we have reached the end of our public agenda. If I could have a motion to recess the public meeting and reconvene our executive session for the purpose of employee job performance under Rhode Island General Law 42-46-5A1. The individual has been notified. I have a motion from Ms. McGovern, seconded Mr. Jones. All those in favor? Aye. So we're going to reconvene our executive session. Thank you very much.